Can you game and play AAA titles on this AMD-powered Windows tablet? In today's video, I'm going to do a full review on the brand new Minisforum V3. I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.
Something was real.
So I've been testing the Minisforum V3 for a few weeks now. I've had it for about a month, but I've been putting it through its paces for the last few weeks. I got this on pre-order, and I will say it has been a very interesting experience. To start off by saying, this is an absolutely amazing machine. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the pricing, the specs, the configurations that you can get, my likes and my dislikes, and some hacks or tweaks I've been able to do to achieve a really awesome gaming experience. Now, in this review, this is not going to be a productivity review or anything like that. As you may have noticed, my channel is called Gamer vs. Tech. So this is going to be from a gamer's perspective. I have been gaming on this tablet. It has been an amazing experience so far. Dare I say, one of the best experiences I've had on any type of device. So as far as pricing and specs, the Minisforum V3 can be purchased directly on the Minisforum website. It starts at $939 and comes in two configurations, a 16GB RAM with 1TB SSD or a 32GB of RAM, 1TB SSD. And you should know by now that I like 32 gigs of RAM. As of now, it comes with a free keyboard and screen protector. Now, since I got mine on pre-order, it came with quite a few things. It came with the case just in general, so the folding magnetic part on the back, the keyboard, it came with the pen, it came with the screen protector, and it also came with this like faux suede leather sleeve thing that actually feels really, really premium. So in this video, I'm not going to be talking about the pen very much because I'm not going to be doing any drawing. I pretty much just got it because I pre-ordered it. I have a MacBook Pro that I use the pen for the Notes app, but this is going to be gaming, so I'm not really going to be talking about the pen. But as far as the rest of the specs go, it comes with a 14-inch 165Hz FreeSync display. It has a peak brightness of 500 nits. It has front and rear cameras that support Windows Hello for easy sign-in. It has a 50.82 watt-hour battery. This APU is the AMD Ryzen Hawk Point 8840U with the integrated 780M graphics. It's LPDDR5 RAM running at 64 MHz. It has a full-size 2280 M.2 SSD, two USB 4s, one USB-C that supports DP-Link or V-Link, which essentially turns this tablet into an external monitor. It has a 3.5mm audio jack, fingerprint sensor power button, and Wi-Fi 6E with Bluetooth 5.3. So what do I like about the Minisforum V3? It's extremely portable. It's lighter than a gaming laptop, but a little heavier than some of the gaming handhelds out there. But that being said, I don't really notice it because it's either gaming on my lap or I have a pretty sweet setup to turn it into a handheld gaming system, but it's really not gonna bother me that much. It's still a pretty light device, but if you're really gonna nitpick about it, yeah, sure, it's a little heavier than some of the other devices out there, but at the end of the day, I mean, why complain about it? My second favorite thing about the Minisforum V3 is the gaming experience. Now, I will say, I have all the major handhelds, and this has been my favorite by far, so far, and it might not go away. Now, the reason for that is because one, is extremely portable, it's extremely powerful, and the specs are just right. Now, this display is absolutely beautiful. I do have a gripe about it that I'll talk about a little bit later, but it's got FreeSync. It's got amazing clarity and color. I really cannot talk that badly about this screen, but everything else as far as specs really does make this an extremely good gaming machine. Now, I understand that many people might buy this as like a productivity type situation, replace like Surface Pros or something like that, but if you want this to be a primary gaming device, you can certainly do that. Another like of mine is that it is smooth and responsive. It can be just as quick as a normal laptop. It doesn't have a dedicated graphics card in it, and sometimes that can muddy things up a little bit with other devices, but this just snaps, it runs really well. Of course, there's going to be times where you might have a slow boot or a slow shutdown, but for the most part, browsing and clicking and playing games, it's pretty damn smooth. Another thing I like about the Minisforum V3 is the Minisforum Software. Now, it's pretty simple. There's not a whole bunch of stuff going on that's gonna muddy things up and make it really hard to use like Armory Crate sometimes. As far as the power profiles go, there's a balance, there's a battery saver, and a performance. The performance allows things to bump up to 28 watts as far as TDP goes, 165 hertz. It changes the screen to that. The balance profile is 18 watts and 60 hertz. Battery saving, I don't even look at that, and neither should you, because we're trying to game on this. Now, everything else, you can update the device from there within the Minisforum Space software. But yeah, no complaints about the software. It's done pretty good so far. Playing super optimized games like Overwatch 2 was an extremely awesome experience. I actually ended up playing for a few hours because I didn't think it was going to go that well, but it ran really, really well. I had the resolution set to 1200p and medium graphics settings. You can lower this to low, but I was pretty much achieving FPSs around 80, 90. It would bump up to 100 sometimes. Obviously, if I brought the resolution or even the graphics settings down, that would jump up even higher. But for the most part, it was a really awesome experience. I was not complaining at all. I actually got a little carried away and I ended up playing for quite a bit of time. Now, I've been talking about Elden Ring recently because Shadow of the Erdtree just came out, so I'm going to talk about that now, gaming on this device. Now, it runs pretty good and pretty great. There's two situations where you can change things a little bit. Now, 800p is going to be the resolution that you're going to be using on that particular game because, you know, it's an open world, so you really don't want to have too bad of FPS drops, even though the game only goes up to 60 FPS without mods. But for the most part, yeah, you're going to be on low settings, you're going to be on 800p, and on the balance profile, you're going to be anywhere between 40 FPS to 60 FPS sometimes if you're like in a cave or something like that. Now, if you bump up to the performance profile at 28 watts, you will be at 60 FPS solid, and it's an amazing experience. No complaints at all. Once again, played for hours. And yeah, it's really not something that you can complain about. Being able to play a game like that on a device like this while you're laying in bed, I mean, why complain? It's as good as it's gonna get. Now on to dislikes, and I do have some. First off, the battery life. At 50.82 watt hours, that's not a very big battery. So you can imagine on a machine like this, you're only gonna game for about an hour. I didn't see a major difference in game time between the balance profile and the performance profile, which was quite surprising since the TDP was higher, but I think things optimized a little bit during gameplay, and you know, there's really wasn't a huge difference. So for the most part, I played in balance for most of my gaming experience. Now, bumping it up to 28 watts, of course, you might get some more frames per second. You might be able to bump up the resolution a little bit, but for the most part, you're only gonna be gaming for about an hour. Now, you can mitigate the poor battery life with something like a 24,000 milliamp hour 65 watt portable power bank, which I will say completely unlocks your gaming experience totally. Now, using something like this, you will be able to game for several hours, if not 3 hours, because it's supplying 65 watts for a decent amount of time. In fact, it's pretty much doubling your battery life, if not like a little bit more. At this point, I pretty much use this constantly while gaming on this machine. Now, another dislike that I have that isn't huge, and it's not a problem all of the time, but it does happen sometimes, is if you're gaming for hours and hours and hours, the device does get a little hot. Now, when holding it in a portable type mode, yeah, you're going to be able to feel that on your fingers, but on your desk or your lap, you're really not going to feel that very much. But if you have been gaming for hours and then you go do a shutdown and then you pick it up, it's a little toasty. So the screen is nice. It's really, really smooth, very responsive. The colors are nice, but I wished it popped a little more. On the desktop and some of your icons, and even in some games, things are kind of washed out and not as vibrant as they should be. It's not an HDR display, unfortunately, but I mean, heck, it's still very beautiful. Another dislike that's not a huge dislike, but some may find it kind of disappointing, is how thick this tablet is. It's a decent size thickness. It's definitely thicker than the iPad Pro or the Samsung Ultra tablets, but for the most part, you're really not going to notice that, but to some people, it may bother them. One thing that was kind of a disappointment when you open up the box at first is how short this power cable is. It's a 3-foot cable. That's totally unacceptable. Any handheld, any device you should get should be a minimum of 6 feet. This is extremely short and it's quite annoying, especially if you're trying to plug it in and game on it, and you only have one outlet on the other side of your counter, or if you're in bed and you gotta go on the other side of your nightstand or something. This is trash. This should not be allowed. It should be at least 6 feet. Now, the last gripe that I have, and it's kind of a big one, is the folding backside of the case that comes with the Minisforum V3. To start off, in order to prop up the device, it folds from the top down. I think that's a terrible design choice because it just, why not have it fold from the bottom and have cutouts for the ventilation? This to me doesn't make very good sense. Also, when you fold from the top down, especially when you're holding one side, you feel like it's very flimsy. I mean, it's very tight, but it also doesn't feel sturdy. And also the magnets on it aren't very strong. So when you go to fold it, it comes off nearly every single time. So it's kind of something that you always keep in the back of your mind when you go to fold this down. It's oh, this is about to fall off. Now, it's not terrible. It does its job protecting the back side of it, but I don't think it's a very good design choice. Like I said, it should fold from the bottom. There should be ventilation on the actual case itself. Or, I mean, it would have been great if they integrated a stand on the actual device, but I might be asking for too much. But for the most part, I just don't like that way it folds, but you get over it because it still is a pretty good experience. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the keyboard that comes with the Minisforum V3. It feels eerily similar to an iPad keyboard. It feels really, really good. It's rather quiet. Yeah, it could be a little clunky, especially on the trackpad, but what do you expect from a keyboard case? For the most part, it does feel really good. It's rather quiet, so if you're trying to keep the volume low, it works really well. The one thing I don't like is this flappy part to the area in which the pogo pins connect to the actual Minisforum V3. I just think, it's kind of sloppy design, quality, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. It still works really well. I get it. It has the ability to fold over on the edge of the device so that it can, align right, but I just don't, it doesn't feel very natural. There's a little bit of slippage going on, but for the most part, as far as functionality, the keyboard works really, really well. Of course, the tablet itself is touchscreen, so you have the on-screen keyboard, but I pretty much use it with this keyboard all of the time. Now, if you saw my last video, we talked a little bit about some of these expansion kits you can get for some official controllers. Now, I will say, it has been a really good experience. For the most part, I'm gaming on my desk or on a lap desk. I'm not really holding the device out using one of these controllers. It can get a little heavy, working on the deltoids and the back and stuff, I'm real sore. No, but for the most part, it's not really something that you're gonna be holding out for a long period of time, especially on your back, holding it above your head. You're not gonna do that. But on a desk or on a lap desk, it's actually a really comfortable experience. Now, combining controllers like these with Hall effect sticks and analog triggers and stuff, I mean, come on, it's better than any handheld because of the massive screen and the specs and stuff like that. But as far as comfortability goes, a good old lap desk, a PS5 controller, that's probably going to be the way you're going to game on it. But I will say, if you're looking for a handheld replacement, it's possible. So who's the Minisforum V3 tablet for? Yes, it's a great productivity machine. If you have the need to draw stuff or edit things, I think it's pretty powerful and you can do just fine with it. But from a gamer's perspective, I think you should buy this. It has been an extremely great experience for me so far. I really can't talk poorly about it because, I mean, if you put it up against like a ROG Ally or the Steam Deck or any of those other devices, it runs the games just the same on a bigger screen, same resolutions, and really, it's just a great experience. Just because the screen size alone really allows you to see more detail, higher field of view. I can't complain about using this device at all as a gaming device. And like I said before, the specs alone make this a great device for gaming. The 14-inch display, the 165 Hz, the FreeSync, and I forgot to mention before, the native landscape display. That's really hard to find all of those into a portable device that you could be using for gaming. None of the other devices out there have all of those wrapped into one. So don't knock it until you try it. It's a great device for gaming. Now, it's not the best experience you can possibly have. Yeah, if I put it up against the Zephyrus G14 that I just did a review on, yeah, it's not gonna outperform that. But if you want something extremely portable, light, that you can pretty much take anywhere, throw in any bag, you really aren't gonna complain about it. Yeah, you might be able to nitpick little things here and there, but like you can't have everything perfect. And this hits nearly every mark. You're like 90% there as far as perfect goes. Now, if it were up to me, I would have made this an HDR display. I know that's really hard. It consumes more battery. But if it was an HDR display and had like an 80 watt hour battery, I think that this would be the best portable gaming device ever created. Now, once again, that's a lot to ask for, but for the most part, the Minisforum V3 hit a majority of the marks. So should you buy the Minisforum V3? Absolutely yes. If you're looking for a new handheld or upgrading from your current handheld, I think this is a great replacement. It's just as powerful, has a better screen, has really good specs, and there's really not that many negatives about it. If you have a power bank laying around that is capable of 65 watts, really, it's the best portable gaming experience you could possibly achieve. So will the Minisforum retain its place as the king of portable gaming setups? No, because AMD is just about to release the new Ryzen AI HX 370 APUs, which do have the 890M integrated graphics. They're supposedly going to be a lot faster than the 780M, and I foresee quite a few portable handhelds and even more tablets housing these APUs. But for the time being, until those do come out, I think this is a great choice. So whether you're a casual or serious gamer, the Minisforum V3 tablet is a great gaming experience, especially if you're on the go. I hope you guys really enjoyed my video today. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget, I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.